And we are back. The Spotlight with Sean O'Rourke. In the spotlight today, Tyler Hickman, award-winning writer, director. And we're excited because we're going to have a little bit of a screening here. We're going to show one of his short films, as well as a teaser trailer for a new project he's working on called The Rogues. It's great to have you here, man.
It is great to be here, Sean. Thank you for having me on to talk film and what we're working on. It's very exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great, man. So I wanted to just give a little bit of background. Uh, how did you get the film bug? Like, what was it that made you want to write and direct and all that kind of stuff?
Man, that's a good question. A lot of films I digested when I was growing up, like we all did, 80s babies. We had, Back to the Future trilogy and the Indiana Jones movies, a lot of Spielberg and Lucas and Zemeckis back in that time. And then Terminator 2 came out. And I said, okay, I'm going to be doing this until I die.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy how so many people get inspired by one movie? For me, obviously, like you, I mean, you could list, and it's mostly, late 70s, early 80s films, that really dominated culture and just put a stamp, I know, on my brain. I remember seeing Terminator 2 in the theater and just being kind of blown away, seeing the visual effects, and it was just a good time. I mean, and Terminator 2, I mean, even though it came out in 1991, it still holds up today.
Oh, it's one of the best sequels ever made. I think that's probably inarguable at this point, seeing how good that is. It stands up on its own. You don't have to see the first one. The legacy afterwards is a bit shaky, I'll give you that. But Terminator 2 taken as its own is an absolute masterpiece of cinema, as far as I'm concerned.
It's interesting because there's only a handful of sequels that have ever just completely blown the world away. I think The Empire Strikes Back is one.
Absolutely.
Aliens, which was James Cameron.
Yeah, he's good at those.
He's good at the sequels. And I mean, look at what Avatar 2 is doing. I mean,
blowing everybody away. Already hit his goal, and now it's going to do more. It's ridiculous. And he's opening Titanic in theaters next month. So yeah,
I know, for Valentine's Day.
I know. Yeah, he's smart. He knows what he's doing.
And I think the wife and I will go see that.
That's a safe bet. I think most couples probably will. 25-year anniversary, man. You got to go check it out in the theaters again. 4K, 3D remastered. Come on.
I feel like when he does that, when they re-release them, it's just to keep chipping away so that, like, Avengers Endgame and The Force Awakens, he wants that crown from The Force Awakens, I think.
Oh, he absolutely does. There's no doubt about it. But I think if anyone could get it, it would be James Cameron.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So you start your career. What's your background? Like, what, and first of all, brag a little bit. I want to know, like, you've won awards. Tell the audience, who you are.
Yeah. So, man, I'm from Florida. Don't hold it against me.
No.
I started doing film stuff with my buddies back in high school. Just, little things with a high-8 camera on tapes. I'm showing my age here. But
no, I did the VHS stuff too. The first time we got a VHS camera in the house, it had it did what they called frame by frame. So I would do stop motion with an Ertl AT-AT model that I had and make it walk with stop motion, because the VHS camera would shoot frame by frame. The thing is, you'd hit the button to go frame by frame, and then you couldn't stop it and try to go. So you had to move, and then you waited. And then when you saw the red light come on, you had to move, and then you waited. And then so it was very nerve-wracking because you couldn't do the frame by frame like you could with a Super 8. But go ahead, Matt.
Anxiety at a young age. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But go ahead. So that's what you were doing.
So yeah, I was doing, just fun little things with my friends in high school. And then community college, I started out going to for Psych Tech, Tank and Film Studies, and then over to Cape Fear Community College, doing film studies there extensively in Wilmington, your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Met a lot of great people out there, working on a lot of really cool stuff. And then transitioned from there, just working on some TV stuff in North Carolina, and then out in LA for a while, working on stuff like the Dexter TV show and the Teen Wolf show, and then Michael Mann's Black Hat. I mean, I was working on stuff nonstop. It was,
wow.
yeah, it was known as the Grindstone. Met a ton of really interesting people out in LA. Made some good contacts. Um, and then I realized I'm like, I have a lot of on-set experience, but every time I'm able to pitch a project or anything like that, it's like, well, no, you're great on set. We love having you help out in these various capacities. But as far as your own pedigree, you're kind of lacking a little bit. And I took that to heart and took it seriously. And so I came
Wow.
came back to Winston-Salem, went to School of the Arts, and graduated there. This was 2016, 2017. I graduated from there for editing and directing. Got one of my films shown at the DGA. That was pretty slick. I was very
Well,
happy.
the School of the Arts, for the people that don't know, I mean,
Right.
it's one of the best film schools in the country. And a lot of good people came out of the School of the Arts. I mean, a few of them, right? I mean, didn't David Gordon Green come out of there?
That's right.
Uh,
David Gordon Green, Jody Hill. He came
Jody
out.
Hill, I think
Yep.
Tim Orr, who was a cinematographer, didn't he come out of the
Yep.
School of the Arts?
Yep.
So, and then of course, Danny McBride hooks up with, David Gordon Green, and the rest is history. So there is a pedigree coming out of the School of the Arts in Winston-Salem. They turn out really good filmmakers. So
They really
go
do.
ahead.
uh, After that, well, not after that, all throughout this whole school process and LA process, I'm making my own stuff, and it's all on thinnest of shoestring budgets. I've got like $50, and I'm essentially saying, who's got a free weekend to help me out?
Yeah, that's how it starts.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you don't have that sort of foundational, do it for nothing, and you just jump in feet first to like big budget stuff, it can kind of go to your head. You rely too much on this big budget, and then you get sunk because then you just go down this rabbit hole of, oh, there's more money. But if
Yeah.
it's money to start with, you just sort of have to. It's bootstrap mentality. You just got to pick yourself up and do it however you can, by hook or by crook. And I've been doing that, luckily, with really good people, and it's been giving me awards and entrances into film festivals and all kinds of really cool stuff. It's been wild so far. So yeah, that's where I am today.
You'll hear filmmakers all the time, and you'll see them in like TikTok videos or reels or shorts on YouTube, and there are all these famous directors, and they say the same thing: just grab a camera, get your friends on the weekend, and just start filming stuff, and start coming up with your own. Film one thing, then film a scene, then film two scenes, and then learn where you're lacking, and then try to. And that's really what it is. You got to pick up the camera, and you have to go. That was one of the things about the Cape Fear uh, program. On
Yeah,
day one, they put a camera in your hand and go, get out of the classroom and go film something.
it was amazing. It's to learn by doing, and that I'm
Yeah.
very much a hands-on kind of learner, and that was invaluable. That was absolutely invaluable.
Yeah, you
Whereas,
can go to a film school and they can teach you film theory and all this kind of
oh,
stuff, and
yeah,
then
that
throw
was
you on a set with 200 members, and you don't know what the hell's going on.
no, and it's very important to get your hands dirty, to get out there in the field, to learn by doing. Because if you don't, like you said, get onto a film set and you're like, oh, I've been to school, I've done this before. It's a rude awakening if you don't have any of your own experience. You have to learn. You have 14-hour days, 16-hour days, 20-hour days. That happens, and you got to get prepped for it. And if you're just used to a school run set, you're in for a hard shock.
Rude awakening.
Very,
I tell this story all the time. When I landed the One Tree Hill in
Mhm.
season 2, I landed a part, and I had not been. I mean, I'd done stuff kind of like what we're talking about on the weekends. You're shooting stuff. I've shot independent stuff, small scale,
All
and
right.
I got on this big set, and it was in a giant sound stage, and it was a fully dressed set, and there's 100 people walking around, and they put the mark on the floor, and you stand there and you deliver your line to Chad Michael Murray, and I fumbled it like 2 takes in a row. Um, it ended up on the cutting room floor. They never used it. And I said to myself that day, I said, well, obviously I need to be on these bigger sets and understand who's doing what. Like when you're
Of course.
standing there and you hear them do a lens change, I want to know what millimeter that is, so I understand if it's a close up or a wide or what they're doing. And
Exactly.
I want to know what that guy's doing over there and this guy's doing over there. And you have to get on sets, and you have
Absolutely.
to understand the process, and that everybody running around like a chicken with their head cut off. They have a particular skill set and what they're trying to accomplish in order to make the whole thing run. And people just don't understand that, because a lot of people don't watch the credits at the end of the movies.
No,
But
and they should. They should. A
yeah,
lot
they
of
absolutely.
working people, absolute, masters of their craft, incredibly talented artists and creatives are working together to make what we get to consume and enjoy. And
Yeah,
it's unsung heroes that are making it work behind the scenes.
I'm saying hello to someone in the chat there that just jumped
All
in.
right. Well,
Yeah, he's got a channel, the George. He's in the chat there. I don't know if you can see him, but yeah, good play. If you want to subscribe, I encourage people to subscribe to anyone who jumps in the chat. Subscribe to their channel, because you don't know if their videos are something that you'd be interested in, and you may want to browse and take a look. So you could always click on their head, their icon, emoji, or their avatar, and then go to their page and just check out their content. All right, so you come back from Los Angeles, and I lived in LA too. So I was one of those that went out to Los Angeles, and it was a little too crazy for me.
oh, it's beyond crazy. It's
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
Yeah, I went out there, I guess it was like 2000, and it was just nuts. And yeah. So I mean, you're like me, you got married, you start a family, but you continue to produce projects. And again, brag about yourself. What are the awards you've won? And we're about to watch one of your projects that you did. It's a short called Ahab, and it's really well done. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, whoa.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate that.
it was really, really good. And of course, I subscribed to your channel right away. And it's one of those deals where it has won awards. It's been in film festivals. It's really good. It's an action piece, which I love. I mean, I'm a big guns, explosions, car chases. I love that stuff,
It's a lot.
and so many times filmmakers will do short films, but they always do artsy fartsy. I call them artsy fartsy shorts, which is, you're feeding pigeons on a bench, or it's a homeless guy who, somebody gives a hamburger to, or, people try to tell these narrative stories in a small amount of time.
Right.
You were able to tell in 6 minutes something so action packed that I was like, whoa. And so what awards did you win? What are the film festivals it's been in?
Right. Okay. So the biggest accolade Ahab has is it won Best International Film Festival at the Mosey Motion Award in the Netherlands.
Wow. Okay.
Wild. I went international on that one. I didn't expect anything from that, but that was in its 12th or 13th year, and we came away with Best International Short Film. We were blown away because, again, we filmed this over a weekend for I want to say we all threw in, it was $500, and we just borrowed what we could and called in favors and did whatever we could. And it was 6 of us doing the whole thing, acting and carrying lights and setting up, all the shots and stuff. And we just made it work because that's what we had, and it worked. You
hear filmmakers that, that can really put stuff together on shoestring budgets, and people always give that example about Robert Rodriguez. Oh, he shot El Mariachi for, they always say $16,000. That's always the number you hear, something like that. But he shot it in Mexico. So $16,000 in Mexico is like a $200,000 movie. And people always leave that part out of the story. Oh, he shot it for 16,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what you did for, a couple $1,000s is pretty hot.
Well, a couple thousand was for the Rogues trailer.
Oh, the Rogues trailer. But you said a couple of people threw in $500 or something.
No,
you raised. That was total.
Oh. $500 total between all of us. It was we had $500 total.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you wrote Ahab.
Yes, Ahab is part of a larger pitch piece that is sort of film series I've created called Damocles. It's a long kind of overarching, big international action espionage kind of spy story. And I want to do a little snippet of that, give it a taste of look what I can do with essentially no budget over a weekend. Imagine if I had a budget.
Yeah.
Imagine if I had an actual film schedule and a film crew. So Ahab was a little slice of that.
Wow. All right, look, we've talked it up enough. Is there any other accolades that it received before we show it?
I
Because
mean,
we're gonna.
it's been to a few different film festivals here and internationally, but yeah, like its crowning achievement was the best international short film at the Mosey Motion Film Festival in the Netherlands.
All right, we're gonna check this out. Let me drop this baby in here.
All right, I hope everyone likes it. It's 6 some odd minutes of just action, fun, and
Yeah,
I
give us the setup before we get going. Give us the setup. What's going on? Because you don't it's just, it literally drops you right into the action.
Drops you right in. So it follows a lone operative. His code name is Ahab, and he is going after new nuclear designs for essentially a country-ending weapon.
Okay.
And he's been sent in there to kind of retrieve it from this Russian separatist group. And we filmed this back in, I want to say 2018, 2019. This is before all the tensions with Ukraine and all that nonsense. We were trying to be apolitical. And if anything, hindsight is now political, but that's not the point. This isn't governments versus governments. It's all shadowy corporations, splinter groups, and just their own people doing their own things for their own reasons. So
wow. Lone
operative against some Russian baddies trying to get some nuclear codes.
What's good is we're going to play this in its entirety. And of course it's not like other streams where sometimes when you play video in streams, if it's something that's copyrighted, you have to stop every couple of seconds so you don't get a strike against you. We're going to be able to play this straight through because you are the copyright holder and you created. Right. We're excited. So let's play Ahab. And then we'll talk after. You can hear it, everybody in the chat. Can you hear it? Keeps the brass. Yeah. I love this location, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's where it's
Hey, prosciutti the guide.
Oh, I know that guy.
When you don't have cast and crew, you do what you gotta do.
Yeah. Jelim, Dase Dotovorin.
What can you offer me?
Password for freedom.
Is that all?
I put gun down.
Thanks, Ishmael. Call me Ahab.
Yeah.
Good memories.
We're gonna play through the credits because we should. But I'll say this: I'm gonna scrub through it, and I'm gonna point out a couple things. I want to get you know, I want to talk to you about a couple of the setups and things like that.
Cool. Absolutely.
I see some familiar names in the credits there.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it's maybe 8 people, 8 people involved doing everything.
One of the things I like about this project is it felt a lot like a lot of gameplay, like you'd see in video games, you
Okay.
know, first person shooter type stuff, sneaking around in the warehouses. But the lighting setups you guys did for this, first
Yeah.
of all, tell me a little bit about the location that this abandoned building, or what is this building that you guys were in?
So this is actually a recycling center somewhere in the middle of North Carolina. I forget where.
You're kidding.
A buddy of mine found it, and he uses it a bunch of music videos. His name is Justin Beasley. Really, really cool dude. He makes a lot of really exciting, action-packed stuff for a lot of music videos. And I met him years and years ago, going to college at PCC. They were merging with Forsyth Tech at the time, both learning film programs. I met him there, and we kept in touch ever since. And so I knew about this location through him, and he was still in use after all these years. And he's like, "Yeah, you get in there, just don't be idiots about it." So we go in there.
That's great.
And I think we had 4 lights total for this whole thing, and 3 of them were right there in that shot, one outside each window. And
How many? What was the K on that? What was it? Were they?
I think they were each like 500, maybe
500K. Wow, kilowatts.
Yeah.
That's insane, man. I mean, so obviously for every setup, if you only have a handful of lights, you're having to move them for every setup.
Every single one.
How much pre-planning
I
went into?
I storyboarded every shot in this movie.
Wow.
Yeah, I storyboard all my stuff. So I somewhere it's buried somewhere deep. I've got the original storyboards for every shot. We cut so much because some stuff wasn't working, and we just had to make it just had to make it work with what we had. And this is the movie you see now.
Now, how did you do the animations like this?
Oh, that I mocked that up in Photoshop.
Oh, and so it's not superimposed on the screen, or
No, I didn't want to deal with any of that motion tracking. I just made it a JPEG, put it on the animation later that you see with the explosion kind of expanding. I made that in After Effects. That was a simple animation, just make a circle bigger.
Sure.
But all this stuff, parts and pieces of missiles and top secret eyes only stuff, I'm pulling this from, 20 different documents to make this one document. So you can get it instantly. Like, that's a rocket. It's called the Moby Dick. It's bad. So I just wanted to make it look legit.
It's great, man. It's great. Great graphics, man. Obviously this is you, but it's like you said, when it's cheaper for you to, if you're going to wear a ski mask and no one's going to see you, it's cheaper sometimes than to have one more mouth to feed on set.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was cheaper, 'cause I played two bad guys in this.
oh,
That
two, see, that's great. Cause you know, you hear that a lot in the, in movies, they'll recycle, you know, stunt guys. They'll just put a
every
different,
single person played two bad guys in this.
you're kidding. That's great.
We just had different outfits and we covered faces half the time, and yeah,
So like this shot here, you got a light pouring in from the back room. You've got a light on him. And then of course, anytime you've got firearms with flashlights on it, that's always cool. And
oh
yeah, and helps with the scene because you can have one extra light in there. Anything cool? I mean, was there anything else you had to do with this shot to get this shot?
working up here was incredibly challenging because half of the room we weren't allowed to step on because of the rot. So the other half of the room we weren't allowed to actually physically walk on because the owner was afraid it could collapse. So we
And
had to stay
where
tight.
was this building?
Again, I can't. It's somewhere in the middle of North Carolina. Beasley would know. I'd have to
Okay.
ask him.
Okay, so
I forgot.
I've been in other situations where I've shot stuff where there was rot in the floor and they were like, yeah. So it's always a risk when you go into an old building to do that. I mean, it's scary stuff. You could fall right through.
We were very, yeah.
And of course, in the credits, one of my good friends, I think I'm going to pull him up here if he's in that shot.
I think he's in the shot holding that radio right before this. I think
it's not letting me scrub, I don't think, to get to him. Wait, nah,
there
here.
he is. That's him.
Okay, so
First man in the room with the AK. Yeah.
first man in the room with the AK-47, right there. That's Charlie Coleman. He's the one and only. He's an armorer in the film industry,
One of the best.
and he's worked on The Walking Dead. So a lot of the firearms that you've seen in The Walking Dead and them shooting them. This guy does it all. He's got an arsenal like I've never seen, and so it's always nice to involve him in a project, especially if he digs it, because he'll bring out all the bells and whistles.
He is invaluable for doing stuff like this because he is probably one of the safest operators I've ever met on any set.
Yeah.
He really sits with every actor to make sure they know exactly what they're doing and how to do it. He doesn't cut any corners, but he makes it look incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, technique. He's very familiar with the techniques, especially with like breaching rooms and how you do it. So you get like on-site training too, as well, for these kind of things. And so, yeah, like Charlie's great. Love Charlie. All your actors in this were fantastic. I mean, you know, I believed the accents, you know, they're pretty good.
Yeah. They actually worked on him. Ryan Davenport, the main bad guy in this, we sat and talked a lot about the accent for this, and he was incredibly dedicated. I'd work with him again in a heartbeat. He was just so down for doing everything, for learning everything. He actually like tried to study some of the language itself. He put in the time and effort in weapons handling. He did all of his own run-in and stunts, and he had his own ideas for how to do things. And he was just an amazing presence to have on set because he brought so much to it creatively. I loved working with Ryan. It was awesome.
What camera did you shoot this with?
This was, I believe, it was a Sony A7S2 or 3. Sam Scott, who shot into the color for it, it was his camera. He would know. But I mean, we had so little to work with, and he did so much with it. I mean,
this shot is beautiful right here.
This was a borrowed 18mm lens to get extra wide shots. And I knew I wanted to use it because I wanted to show the space, because it was like, this is a big industrial cool space.
Yeah.
Just having them in the middle of it felt kind of almost intimate in a weird kind of way. But it was a lot of fun working with Sam on this. Yeah.
How did he get that shiner?
So that wasn't makeup.
It doesn't look like makeup.
It was real. The shot in slow motion where he's picking up the case and his gun, it's low angle, and he's walking out of the room, and he's kind of backlit by that light above him. On one of the takes, the rifle sling got stuck, and the magazine of the AK popped up and hit him right there.
Oh!
But like a professional, during the take, he kept going.
Wow.
And then as soon as we called cut, I'm like, that looked great. and he's holding his eye. And I'm like, what's going on, man? He's like, no, I bonked it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And like an absolute, like a real soldier, he just like, happens. Let's go.
But what's cool is by the time you got to this moment, he didn't have it earlier in the action. So it in the time frame, it actually plays well. That like he fell or he did something during all this action.
Yeah, it works. And we shot it pretty much in order. That's kind of how we shot it. So
yeah, again, I mean, the lighting on this is insane.
Sam did an amazing job. He hid so many little reflectors and bounce cards here, there, and everywhere. And we actually used a lot of existing light that just happened to be in the building or outside of the building as much as we could, and just kind of like, we're just leaning into this gritty style, and it is what it is, and color temperature be damned for whatever reason. But Sam did an amazing job on all of this. I love it.
And you had patches made up.
I had that one specific patch just to go on Nate's jacket. I still have it. It's somewhere in here. But I've got it. Yeah, I designed that in Photoshop. I shipped it off. I just sent the file, and they shipped it off to me. And we hot glued it to his jacket. And as the movie went on, it kept peeling off and peeling off. We just had to I think at one point we just did like duct tape on the back of it and just stuck it there. Now we'll fix it. No one's going to notice, but it works.
I at the end of this stream, I'm going to pin to the top the link on YouTube if you want to watch this again. We're doing it in here. And you shot this over 2 days.
This was over 2 days, and I had my brother Garrett Hickman. He came out. He was one of the bad guys. He did an amazing job. He played a couple different bad guys. My buddy Mac Matheson, he showed up, and Charlie. Obviously, it was us with Justin Beasley, who I mentioned earlier, and the only person who didn't get in front of the camera was Sam, who shot it and lit it and did all that. So he
was busy.
He was very busy. Yeah,
he was very busy.
And I was just, playing dead half the time. And I'd review shots after Sam shot and be like, yeah, it was cool. I think we do it better. And I'd go play dead again and just have to review the shots after it's done and give notes where I could. And so it was a lot of fun. That was a blast to shoot that one.
So was this supposed to be a series? Is that what you were trying to do with it?
This is almost like a little pitch piece. So it was more like how to show the tone and what we could do with very limited resources and time.
Sure.
So it's more just like a calling card for what Damocles could be, even on a small scale and budget.
And I know that you write a lot. I mean, and you're sitting on scripts.
Oh yeah, I got a bunch of scripts. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say your strengths are as far as, is it action? Is it, do you think after doing like something like this, and then we're going to show the Rogues trailer, which is another action adventure thing that you've come up with in the vein of like Uncharted, is, do you see yourself doing anything like a Lifetime movie or anything like that? Or are you just like specific?
I do really enjoy high stakes, high energy, action adventure, sci-fi, thrillers, even dramas. That really kind of excites me because I'm drawn to escapism in film.
Right.
When I go to the movies, I want to see things and experience things that I can't in real life. That's why I'm excited about film like Terminator 2 or Raiders of the Lost Ark. That doesn't happen every day. Whereas Lifetime movies, people fall in and out of love every day, and that's incredibly heartfelt and powerful when done right. But as far as my strengths, that's not one of my strengths, and I know that. Interpersonal relationships, that's fine. That's all day long. That's fine. But my strengths do seem to lie towards the more exciting, the larger in scale and scope. Stakes are always through the roof, life or death, that kind of stuff. That gets me excited. That gets me. I want to watch the movies that I'm making, and that's why I want to make them, because I want to watch them.
Yeah.
If I can't find them, I'll make them. And I'd like to do it on a big scale. That's what I'm working.
It's funny. I came across something today that James Cameron said in one of the master classes where, they had given him notes on the original Avatar and said, they're flying on those creatures for a long time, and they're just flying, and you could probably get to the next thing sooner if you cut out some of the flying, and he had said that if I enjoy it, and I wanted it in there, I'm assuming the audience is going to enjoy it the way I do. And he said, we're not going to cut any of it. And, he stuck to his gun.
James Cameron, yeah.
Yeah, he stuck to his guns with that, and he's always kind of done that. But I get it. It's like when you make something, and you want that escapism, sometimes you can hold on a shot a little longer. Sometimes you could do, and again, like if you enjoy it while you're making it, and you get excited when you see a shot that just works perfectly, or the actor falls a certain way, and yes, nailed it. Um, that's what you want to convey when you're making art. And I get that. I get that about you. I see it in your film work, and especially if you are storyboarding like you're doing.
Everything.
And that's the thing. I've been on shows and I've been on movies where, uh, the people just show up. They may have done a tech scout and they have their shot list over the shoulder, mediums, close up, whatever.
Very standard, right?
But they don't really flesh it out, like you would in a big, because time is money. So you want to do all that prep work. Are you a good artist?
No.
But you don't have to be for storyboards. You just have to really draw stick figures.
I mean, yeah, like I wish I had some with you. I'd show you what I got. But for all the stuff that I've done in the past, I'll get as detailed as I comfortably can without spending, an hour or two, on one shot, just so everyone else who sees it understands this is the framing, this is the movement, this is how I want this position to be, and this composition's here. So I try to be as detailed as I can without going overboard. I wouldn't call myself a good artist. I can sketch half decently, but that's kind of where my ceiling is because I haven't developed it. I want to develop film, and that's my language I want to speak in. Sketching is sort of a means to an end to make the film work better.
Sure.
At least for me.
So tell me about the Rogues.
Yes. Rogues, Dawn of the Black Sun. This is probably the biggest film I've written, and it's also the one I'm most excited about. Every chance I get to talk about it, I get excited. I'm going to have to calm down here. Okay, so The Rogues is a modern-day Indiana Jones that takes all of the things that film series has done and done extremely well, best in the business, and apply them to now, where we're not using green screen to represent locations. We're not doing a bunch of digital doubles, and we're not doing a bunch of, we're not trying to overload it with VFX because we didn't want to go to a location or because we, wanted to do something different later in editing. Like, we're going to do it practically for real on location because that's what makes it timeless. You go back and watch Raiders any day of the week, any decade from now, it's still going to look absolutely incredible because they just did the thing. That's what works. So taking that and running with it in the modern day adventure, I'm absolutely thrilled to try to do it.
Now, did you, when I watched the Rogues trailer, it felt a lot like, or it got inspiration from like Uncharted, like the video game, Nathan Drake, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we're going to show the trailer here in a minute because it's really well done. But there's, when you look at movies like Red Notice, that's on Netflix now, that Ryan Reynolds and they took inspiration. I mean, even they made some Indiana Jones comments. I remember Ryan Reynolds in the third act when they were in that one underground thing, he was like, dun, 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 dun. He did that little thing when he was, and so there are other films trying to capture that.
And God love them, they found an amazing audience. Red Notice has, I think, the most viewed hours out of any Netflix original film to date.
Wow.
But I mean, with that star power, it's kind of built in.
It's built in. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. If you did that with any other cast, I don't know if that film would have been successful, but you had Gal Gadot, you had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Ryan Reynolds. I mean, come on. It was like a perfect.
It's a slam dunk.
Yeah. It was a slam dunk, and they're making a sequel to it. And so they should.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The director did an amazing job on that film. It was a lot of fun. It was big, and they shot it during COVID, I want to say. So the fact that they were able to pull it off during COVID is kind of amazing. Yeah.
Did you see Uncharted?
I have not seen the movie. I am. It's not that I don't want to see it. I just didn't go out of my way to see it. I'm such a fan. I'm such a diehard fan of the games that when I saw the trailers come out and I saw the casting, and I know it was in development hell for like a decade.
Yeah.
all these things in me as just a fan of the games was like, this doesn't feel quite right. And then when the movie came out, it made like, $500 million. So I'm obviously wrong here, but they did what they wanted to do and they got the movie out there and the critics are like, that's pretty good. So I guess for video game adaptation movies, that's about as good as you can get.
Well, here's something interesting. I've never played the video game and I don't know anything about the video game. So when I did go, I did go see the movie in the theater with no inkling of knowledge prior. And
so I would love to hear your take. Like what do you think about it?
I enjoyed Uncharted. I thought the banter between Mark and Tom Holland was really well done. There was always this double crossing going on between each other, like throughout the whole thing. And, at the end, and they had this in the preview, spoiler alert, but they had these helicopters pick up these the pirate ships and they were flying and they were doing action on this ship as it's flying through the air. And all of it was just fun. Like I went into it going, oh, okay, this is a crazy popcorn event movie. I'll bite, and Sony did really well with it. Like you said,
they did. Now, I don't know if they're making a sequel to it, but if they do, I hope they have a little closer to the games. I hope they're able to, sort of bring out the characters as they're portrayed in the games and again, I'm speaking, from a bit of someone who's on the outside from the movie.
You're a purist. You're like some of the Star Wars fans like myself that could never be satisfied with some of the stuff that comes out. You're like, guys, this isn't what I thought it was going to be because I know this video game inside and out. And that's not, I get it. I
mean, to a certain extent, yeah, but at the same time, I'm actually really glad they were able to make it and find such a big audience because then the world knows more about the universe of Uncharted. Maybe they'll pick up the games and find those and fall in love with those like I did.
I think you should watch the movie.
I kind of do want to.
I think you should. I think you just do it. Stop. Just do it. Yeah. And then you could come back and say, I hate you because you made me watch that.
I doubt that. I doubt that severely. I'm sure it's a rollicking good time. I just honestly haven't seen it because I wasn't dying to, just because I knew all the behind the scenes. If I didn't know all the behind the scenes of the drama it took to make the thing.
Well, and that's the thing. I just watched, like earlier, I was talking about James Cameron. I watched a reel or a short on YouTube, and it was Mark Wahlberg when they called him to say, hey, we're finally greenlighting it after he had kind of attached himself to it 12 years prior or something like that. And
with David O. Russell directing, and he was going to be Nate Drake. He was
see, and he still thought he was Nathan Drake because in the conversation he makes the comment. He's like, they called me and they said, Tom Holland's, on board, and he was like, who's Tom Holland playing? He's so young. And then the light bulb went off that it had been so many years that he's now the older guy and they got someone else. And he was like, oh, but I'll still do the movie. But it took him a minute to warm up to the fact that he wasn't going to be.
He's not the young buck anymore.
I would have rather seen Nathan Fillion because
everyone would have rather seen Nathan Fillion.
But I think they missed the boat on that just in time frame wise.
I agree.
I know he did that short film, which was really, really good. It was like a big pitch for him to try to get the role.
Oh yeah.
And they went young.
Well, I mean, Tom Holland is absolutely Sony's golden boy. He did Spider-Man Justice.
Of course.
And they're like, who's better to do an adventurous, globe-trotting guy who happens to do parkour? You're going to get Tom Holland. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think I feel like he's being overused. It's like every time there's a new role that pops up, they're always like, oh, Tom Holland. It's like, no, find somebody else. Let's take a look at the Rogues. Let me pull this thing up.
Please. This was again over a weekend with some very, very good friends. I actually had to call in some favors to Keeper Community College, and they had a lot of fun on this. And a bunch of folks, well, actually, it wasn't a bunch, come to think of it. I had a few select people who were available for this weekend, such as Charlie, who were able to come out and help with this, like I did for Ahab, and I've got some new folks involved with this one, and it was absolutely the best film experience I've had to date. It was so.
Did you actually dragged him?
Oh yeah. Okay. So this is Tyler Cole. He's a real good film buddy of mine. He made some Uncharted short films, and I made some Uncharted short films. That's how we got to meet. Was on YouTube through Uncharted.
Oh,
And
wow.
so let's do our own adventure thing. So wrote Rogues and put him in it. And he's so gung ho. This guy drove from Atlanta, slept in his car for maybe 2 hours, woke up, put on a bodysuit underneath his costume, and then got dragged by a Jeep down the road, firing a blank firing gun.
Yeah. Okay. But see, that's the thing. When you love something and you're passionate, fine. You just got to try not to get killed.
Well, that's why we got Charlie on set, because he made sure we were doing it very safely. And in fact, we were driving a lot slower than you might think. That's
Yeah.
movie.
Now, do you want to set this up? I know that in the beginning of the trailer, it kind of gives you a little bit of narrative, but do you want to kind of set what's going on in this trailer?
So a lot of this trailer is conceptual for what the actual film would be. And we wanted to pick the most exciting, dynamic scenes we could that we could feasibly film to put into this trailer to really pique interest.
Yeah.
So some of these scenes might not be in the finished feature film version, but a lot of the spirit and the heart and the situations they find themselves in are, I think, accurately represented for what we were able to do with what we had.
I will say I have read The Rogues, and it's a really good script.
Thank you.
And I know that it's actively in development, and hopefully there'll be some good announcements coming soon. I can't say anything, but we know things, but we can't say anything. So it's really exciting. So, are we ready to show this?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. The Rogues.
The Florentine diamond, worth untold millions, this relic once graced the halls of kings, popes, emperors. Having this priceless jewel meant your power was absolute. And then, at the height of World War II, it vanished.
Right, lost diamond, untold millions, Nazi troubles. Sounds like fun.
Good news. We know the Black Sun don't have it. At least, not yet.
And we're gonna keep it that way.
Then you're gonna need some help.
You realize, of course, if we don't get that diamond back, we're all as good as dead.
At least I'll get my beauty sleep.
This is bigger than we thought.
He has an army! What did you tell me? He has an army!
Tell me who has a diamond is, or I'll skin you alive.
The black sun eclipses all. Your end signifies our new dawn.
Come on! Go, 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 go!
Man, how did you get was that Charlie's M60 machine gun?
Okay, so of course, Charlie isn't just limited to just what Charlie has. Charlie knows people that have things.
I know. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's Rambo's gun.
That is,
I bet he had a blast firing that thing.
oh man, Reed had at the time, like all the behind the scenes stuff of him shooting that. He's got the biggest grin on his face. We all had the biggest grins on our faces.
Yeah.
We actually didn't get any coverage of this, and I'm kicking myself still to this day because that was like the one mistake we made. When Nate is in that tank firing his gun at the guys in the Humvee, he's in a tank, and we didn't get shots of the tank. We just got shots of Nate. And
I've seen the tank. I've seen the tank that you guys had access to. Really good stuff. And you have a battleship. That's the thing that filmmakers get access to the coolest things, especially if someone wants to showcase it and thinks that tourism will bring, people. It's nice to have people that have your back. This is the North Carolina battleship that was there in Pearl Harbor at the signing of the or not Pearl Harbor in the Japanese harbor when they surrendered and signed the treaty to end the war. This was one of the ships that was in the blockade. Everything, again, you got warm colors. I mean, the framing is nice. I mean, just this shot looks great. You've got the camaraderie between people. Where was that at? Where was that? Was that Biltmore? No, what was that? What is that?
That was see on some of these locations, it was like a real quick, hey, can we just get a shot of this real quick? Just fly by. Is that cool?
Right.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And so it was.
You probably didn't get permission to use that. I'm guessing.
I mean,
hey, we're just going to steal a shot. I do that all the time. Steal a shot.
But like all the stuff that we were able to do, we were lucky enough to do was by the grace of someone else. And like the battleship, the people at the battleship, I cannot say enough good things about them. They were absolutely incredible to work with.
Yeah.
They were so nice. They were so kind. They just opened the doors and said, as long as you're safe and you aren't hurting anybody or anything, have at it. And yeah, it just, we got what we got, and it was absolutely incredible.
Who went in the water? What sucker went into a pond?
That was one of, I believe it was one of Charlie's contacts.
Charlie always brings a good friend that will do anything with a firearm. Right. And this is who jumped out of the plane?
Okay, we got that footage from, I think it was Reed's contact at the skydiving school. So that's like the one thing we didn't actually shoot. We got footage for that.
Yeah, but see, that's cool. That's almost like drone footage, like sometimes you can buy drone footage. A lot of times you can buy drone footage, but this is Reed's boat, I take it.
That's not Reed's. That's a buddy's of his. And again, we're just borrowing things, asking if we can use things. Hey, is this cool if we do this, that, or the other? And people are just nice enough. They understand that we're not trying to hurt anything. We're just trying to have some fun.
Yeah, I gotta see this again. I mean, come on. How fun was that? I will say I don't know if I would want to be dragged behind the car. I mean, get me a stunt double. Right. I'm not playing that one.
No, yeah. Tyler Cole is his own stunt double. He would never let anyone double for him.
Because they actually dug a trench for
Raiders.
For Raiders so the person had something he could kind of be in.
Yeah, I remember seeing that behind the scenes. Vic Armstrong is just hand over hand going down the truck.
Was he harnessed, or is he just holding on to a rope?
I think at one point he was harnessed. I'm not it's been a while since I've seen it. I think at one point he was harnessed, but
so he's lucky he didn't pull his arm out of his socket. That's what.
Yeah.
If he wasn't in a harness. But look at the composition of this shot. It's beautiful. You got candles here that are all the mahogany, the brown leather. I mean, the backlit. I mean, it's nice, man. I mean, you always have really good composition in your shots.
That shot specifically back in that house, my DP, Selfrico Watson Grant, who's an absolute genius behind the camera, we were setting up for a whole different shot at the time. And he called me over and he goes, come here. And he just sat me down. He goes, look through where I am, look through the monitor, look at this. And he found it, and I go, oh my God, Sal, that's a shot. That's an incredible shot.
Let's do it.
So like I had storyboarded, he approaches, with the gun with Tyler on the ground, but it was a different kind of positioning, different angle, all that kind of stuff. When Sal found it, I said, scrap my storyboard. You found the better shot. And he found a better shot.
And see, that's where filmmaking is collaborative, and people get to, interject and show you stuff and do things. That's why I think people enjoy films so much and filmmaking, because it really is. It's a team effort, man. I mean, when you go at it and you're look at this shot, walking out of the shadows. It's beautiful.
That's the lead from Ahab.
Yes, absolutely. He grew his hair out
on a suit, grew a bigger beard, and
yeah, Nate, he looks good in a suit. Yeah,
I will put Nate in anything and everything every day of the week and twice on Sunday. He is probably one of the best actors I've ever had the pleasure to work with. He shows up, he gets stuff done, and he'll do it until he breaks his ribs. And he literally did that on a short film that never got released. He busted through a door. Take one was amazing. I said, don't need to do it again. And he said, I can do it better. I said, okay, it's your call. He throws himself through the door again, cracks his ribs, and I hear the weirdest sound. And you can play it back and hear it. And I go, cut? I go to check on Nate. He's lying on the floor, clutching his chest, going, I think I need a minute. Cracked his rib and came back the next day to finish shooting.
That's
I
insane.
work with absolute insane genius masters of their craft. I'm so lucky to work with these folks.
I want to ask you about this shot. How did you like that?
Smoke grenade in the background and natural sunlight.
You are shitting me. That's natural. You didn't throw an 18K up on a
that's
on a condor.
That is the sun and a smoke grenade. And when you got Charlie Coleman, that's what you get. And I had a ton of help doing a lot of work on this with me and Charlie. His name's Luce Bennett, absolute ace when he was helping out, doing camera stuff, getting gear ready, helping with all the second unit stuff, and just getting other folks together. I love Luce. That guy's amazing. He's in your neck of the woods. He's in Wilmington. He's working right now.
Where is this location?
Luce knew that place, and Reed went with him and all that kind of stuff. It's a spillway, but I'm not sure exactly where that is. But Luce knows. Again, for all these locations, I'm not exactly I don't know places, but I know what's at the places.
You're like, here's my storyboard. Somebody find me this, and then somebody finds it for you. It's great. That's all that matters, is that you get it done. And so the Rogues, Dawn of the Black Sun, in active development. And like I said, hopefully we'll have some stuff to talk about in the very near future about this project. And I know, and you have a wish list of who you'd love to have in this, right?
I do. I don't know if I should.
No, don't say.
Names.
Don't say. Yeah, because something may be happening. But I can see the spirit of Uncharted. I can see the spirit of Indiana Jones. I can see that, and there's a market for this. There's a market for this. That
Adventure's like one of the biggest right now. When you think about Jungle Cruise, Uncharted, the new Indiana Jones is coming up in like 5 months, I want to say.
Yeah.
Adventure is kind of overlooked because superheroes are obviously still dominating. Ant-Man and Quantumania trailer came out, and everyone's going nuts about that.
Yeah.
Superheroes are still dominating, but like when you underneath that, like I said, Uncharted, we're like just last year, $500 million.
Yeah.
People love adventure when it's done well and done right.
And I think that again, it goes back to that escapism. You've got an audience that will go see movies like this that want to escape, and maybe they need a break from the comic book stuff. They're like, hey, let's. And I think they're proving it with movies like Red Notice and things like that. If you just look in the last, 5 or 6 years, they just are cranking out these adventure films. I even heard they're either rebooting or remaking Romancing the Stone.
I heard the same thing. I don't know how I feel about that because I like those movies. So.
Well, I like the first one. The second one was
the second one's a little dicey.
The thing is, the first one really holds up.
It does.
The second one, like when you go back and sometimes when you go back and watch stuff that came out in the 80s, they don't hold up very well. Like Crocodile Dundee is there's a couple of movies out there that are just like, that doesn't really hold up. And the second one didn't hold up for me, but the first one actually feels timeless. Like you could literally just hit play because once they're in the jungle, they're just wearing their outfits, hacking through the trees and everything. And so you can have your suspension of disbelief. And if you're not seeing, if you're seeing 80s cars driving around, then but I think it'll be very interesting how that works. I saw during the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl, but the last football games, they had they doing a TV series for True Lies.
I saw that. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I'm sure they poured their heart and soul into it. They got 200 crew members. They're all they're trying to put out their best work. So I'm not going to slam it. I just, when you think of True Lies, you think of Jamie Lee Curtis and you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And this guy looks more like your average, guy that would be serving coffee at or a barista. He's got that look, he doesn't have that look that he's like, and maybe that's what they're going for, is that he could like melt in.
More
But
of an
again,
everyman approach.
but my point is, you're seeing helicopters, you're seeing adventure, you're seeing, they're starting to and again, I was talking to some producer friends that I'm currently working with on a project, and they were telling me, this part of a conversation we had, they were saying, the because of COVID and everything that's going on, they're not looking for gritty, dark realism.
Right.
They're looking for beautiful colors, bright, sunny locations, the ocean. And so in one of their latest projects that they are producing, they got an order for 14 episodes. It's like a Magnum PI kind of thing, but it's with 2 MMA fighters. And Harvey Keitel is in it. And it's a TV series. And, the thing is, people are so down because of the last 3 years or whatever, 2.5 years.
My God, yeah.
I mean, we're still in it. Like, people don't realize, like, it hadn't left. Cases are going up again. COVID's still around. We may not ever go into the lockdowns and stuff that we did before, but people are still dying. And so it's just, they want something like the Rogues. They want that corn gold feel, that romanticism, and you're seeing it when they're green lighting things like Red Notice and let's redo Romancing the Stone, and yeah.
It's actually funny you mentioned Korngold. The composer Eric von Korngold, he did all the Errol Flynn films and Adventures of Robin Hood and Seahawk and Captain Blood and all that. That was one of our touchstones. My composer, her name's Christina Trinity Velez Justo, and she did the music for the trailer for the Rogues, just the trailer. And we talked, it must have been months, on just the sound of how this works and finding for it and building that adventure out. And she was so invested in doing something big and orchestral and brassy, because that's what she wanted. She's been wanting to do stuff like that for a while, but everyone's going more towards the electronic stuff and on the old school sound. And I'm like, no, I want to bring that back.
Yeah.
I like to hear, that's what I like to see. And she was so on board. And I'm praying I can work with her again on another project and on the feature for Rogues. So fingers crossed. But I mean, again, I'm incredibly lucky to work with all these amazingly talented artists. It's incredible.
Well, I'm glad that you spent the last hour with me here, and people are going to get to know you from the stream, and you're a good visionary, and you're a solid director. I'm very excited about what's coming down the pike. So, I mean, thanks for hopping on the stream here and talking about Ahab and talking about the Rogues. And is there anything else that you'd want to share before we wrap this up?
Man, I mean, I guess just keep your eyes peeled for what might be coming down the pipe, like you said, for you too. I mean,
yeah. Well, yeah.
You never know.
You never know. Thanks for being on the spotlight.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And I appreciate it. And we're going to end this broadcast. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.